What's Really Good. I'm just kidding. This is the Small Town Podcast. The What's Really Good podcast is my friend Nathan Alabag, his podcast, which is actually great if you haven't checked it out. It's a really great podcast. It's called What's Really Good. Just thought I'd plug it because he's my friend. And he has great guests on, and he's a great guy. It's good stuff. This is going to be episode 9. Yeah. And it's going to feature Will Hinkle, who sings and plays guitar. He doesn't really sing as much as he shouts, because that's kind of what the music calls for, which is great. He's a great shouter. And he plays guitar in the band called LMI, who have been around the scene of Lansdale for the last couple years now. They are on their 4th EP, which is called 4, very appropriately. And it's terrific. It's got this great kind of black punk rock sort of thing going on with it. It's like if you like sort of like the late 80s hardcore kind of thrash crossover music, like Agnostic Front and stuff like that, and fused it with like a black metal vocalist, you kind of get LMI. And I'm playing a track from the new EP. It's called June Was a Test. That's kind of what you heard coming in, and then you'll hear a little bit more later. Had a great conversation with Will. He's a cool guy. He's super well traveled, pretty reserved, but I try to get him out of his comfort zone because I think he's a neat guy and terrific musician, terrific songwriter, really super committed to his craft, and just the kind of guest that we like here on the Small Town Podcast. But that's it. Hope you enjoy this one. It's Will Hinkle, LMI. See ya. Hopefully they'll like it. I just like to jump in and just like kind of do it. But yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. But yeah, like he's Josh Homme, like we were talking about Queens of the Stone Age. He's like a great songwriter. Like even if you don't like that kind of sound, like if you're not into like stoner rock or like how Kios, is that, do you have, how you pronounce it?
Kios?
Kios, yeah. I never knew how to pronounce it, but he was like, the first couple of Queens records like are just like golden. Like the first like self-titled one, I jammed that for like forever.
Yeah.
The self-titled Queens of Stone Age.
I never got to, a friend of mine saw him at the Electric Factory. I guess it was around like the 10th anniversary or something, and they pretty much played that whole thing. Yeah, that's right.
They did a 10th anniversary.
I like that one. I also really I pretty much like most of their albums, except for Era Vulgaris.
Yeah, that was like the one where they kind of like, they goofed that one up. Like,
yeah.
It was just kind of, it didn't really click. Like, everyone was like kind of high off of like, that like, what was that one song? The one with the cowbell.
Threes and Sevens? No. Threes and Sevens was a big one on that one. Or are you thinking of
I'm thinking of the record before that, yeah.
Oh, Burn the Witch.
No, what was this? What was the single?
Oh,
with the cowbell, Little Sister.
Yeah.
And they played it on Saturday Night Live, and Will Ferrell came out with the cowbell.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You ever see that?
That's awesome. No,
dude,
I've never
it was
seen
so
that.
sick. They played on Saturday Night Live, and like they played that song, and Will Ferrell, I don't know if he was like the guest host.
Oh yeah.
Like coincidentally, or like he just kind of like showed up because like like old cast members will just like show up inadvertently. But like he showed up with the Gene.
Oh, the Blue
Oyster Cult thing, and he came out with like a cowbell. Because like the part is like as a jam block, but like it's close enough.
Yeah, I mean nobody's gonna be like, it's not a jam block, man.
You're totally mixing up your instruments, your percussion instruments, man. But it was a good time, man. It's a funny video if you ever watch it because he's in like the get up.
I'll definitely have to check that out.
But dude, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Anytime, dude. We've literally been, me and Dave Heck have been like blasting. I told you we've been hanging out all week, and like I like drove him home from the city like twice this week. And each time we listen to the new LMI EP.
Sweet.
It's really sick, dude.
Thank you.
We both, he and I really like it. Like, and like, I actually really like the artwork, man.
Thank you.
Who did this artwork for you?
His name is Adam Burke. He runs a thing called Nightjar Illustrations. He's done stuff. You ever heard of Ruby the Hatchet?
No.
They're from like Asbury Park. They're like a stoner rock band.
Oh, okay.
I saw he did their latest album. He might have done their earlier stuff too, but I really liked what he did with them. He did another band called Pagan Altar. They're from like I think they're like a 70s kind of stoner rock style.
You're gonna school me this whole time of stoner metal because like
I'm not that I don't know that much.
I'm totally out of the loop with it.
but yeah, dude, his stuff's really good. He lives in I think in like like Central California in like the middle of the mountains
like
and stuff.
like Sacramento, like up there, like
I think
like,
he lives like outside of Sacramento, I think.
Okay.
But either way, his stuff. Yeah, I really like his stuff.
Have you been to California?
Yeah, we played. I've been to San Francisco just with my family once, and then we played in L.A. as well as like outside of L.A. and called like West Covina.
Yeah, that's like okay. So the one time I went to California, that's where
Oh, really?
Our Airbnb was in Covina.
Oh, okay.
Which is what I didn't realize until like later, like when we eventually like came home from California, that Covina is pretty much San Dimas, or isn't it, or something like that. It's pretty much like where San Dimas High School is. Like, do you remember Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, San Dimas High School football rules. Apparently that movie, like the setting of that movie was
I could see that.
West Covina and like...
Yeah. What was it? It's like La Puente or something like that?
Something like... Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And my girlfriend has like family out there. And
cool.
And we like hung out there and we went to a couple different spots. Like we went to Hollywood, like we went to Malibu.
Yeah.
And like, just like... Dude, it was so sick. Like, I've never been to the West Coast before and this was last year, and it was just like, it was just beautiful, man.
It was our experience was really weird there. Like it wasn't too bad.
You went on tour there.
Yeah, it was even like just going into California. You could just tell it was gonna be weird because we came in and there was like a big 18-wheeler like on the side of the road, almost immediately when we were getting towards LA, or like the doors were open, and I guess like the back had busted out and there was like toys all over the road, and like people were just picking them up and getting in their cars and just driving away.
What?
Yeah, it was really weird.
They were looting toys on the highway?
Yes, exactly. And then the lady who was driving the truck, she didn't even care. She was just like, fuck it, just like closed the doors and just drove off. And
probably why Toys R Us went under.
Yeah,
that big shipment never made it.
It's entirely her fault.
Pretty much. Just like, well, we never got that shipment from Sheila.
Yeah.
So I guess we got to go under.
The shows are pretty cool though. The one... It was like,
what venues did you play?
We played Bridgetown DIY, which was in West Covina, and a lot of bands have played through there. I think
sick.
Punch played there like a while ago. That was the one that I always remember because I really like them.
That's crazy. You played Covina. That's literally like where we had that's like where we set up our Airbnb.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we hung out in that town. Like there was like an In-N-Out burger and a Starbucks. It's like it's all we needed.
Oh yeah.
When we were just like, we didn't feel like hopping on the 1 or the 100 or whatever the fuck it is, whatever the highway is, to like go into Hollywood and like check out like what's going on. It takes forever to get anywhere.
Yeah.
You just sit in traffic all day.
Pretty much. I mean, we went to Amoeba in Hollywood. That was cool.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah.
Amoeba is so sick.
I definitely. Apparently, they're shutting down the one in Hollywood. That's what I was told. Yeah.
Dude, that would suck because like.
I mean, I don't know. This is just told to me by some dude who's in Long Beach, so it could be a lie.
Let's see what the internet says. I like to utilize the internet during this podcast.
That is a good idea. Prove that I'm wrong.
Oh, prove you wrong, bitch. Bitch. When was this? Like, when did you go on?
It was last summer.
Okay.
Yeah, the West Covina show, we were the only punk band on the bill, so it was like us, and then there was like 80s pop style band. It was really like we didn't know. I didn't look at any of the bands going into it, but like we got there and the promoter was like, "Yeah, it's gonna be a real mixed bill," and I'm like, he was the only one who knew how crazy this was gonna be. But it was cool. Everybody actually liked us, so that was nice. And then the LA show we played in downtown LA, and it was just mad shady.
Yeah,
there's some dude. What was it? It was like at a comedy club. And
it was in the Comedy Store, was it?
No, it was not the Comedy Store. But we got there, the guy said load in was at like 7 or something, and we got there and there was like just an open mic night going on, and they're like, "Oh, you're in one of the bands, like you're gonna have to wait 2 hours before you can load in."
What?
So we had to sat in an alley and then for like 2 hours before even getting to bring our stuff in. And when it was finally time to load in,
I would have just walked on the street, man. I just would have walked like.
It did not look like a good area to walk.
Oh, okay.
But I mean we had been walking around all day because that was when we went to Amoeba and we're hanging out in Hollywood. So
now it's like you're all walked out. You're trying to play a show.
Pretty much. But it was like, and finally when it was time for us to load in, I the bass and drummer of my band were bringing stuff in, and I was just like standing by the van.
Yeah.
And some dude like hopped the curb and just drove straight into a tree. And I thought it was like. I thought it was a gunshot, and I was like, "What the hell?" And I just like jumped in the van, and like, "Oh no!" Some dude drove into a tree, and it was like, Jesus Christ! And then, like after we played, when we were loading out, they had like I guess sort of like a soup kitchen thing for homeless people, but it was right in front of the crashed car. So it was really weird.
It's like a weird place to crash your car.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, I guess it's a landmark for right now, but
right. All the homeless people just like, man, I wonder if there's food in there.
I mean, it was literally, there was like a line. It was really weird.
Dude, last night there was like hella like beggars at the show.
Really?
Like more, it wasn't like a lot of them, but the ones that were begging were super like persistent and
at the pharmacy?
Obnoxious. Yeah, at the pharmacy.
Yeah.
Super obnoxious.
I've had guys like, there was one time we were loading out there and some guy was kind of pestering me and I literally had no money. So it wasn't even like an option.
There was one guy, like he had like a jar or like a can or whatever that he was just like, you put cigarettes, like he was asking for like cigarettes or like change or whatever. And like he was like pretty cool, but like there was a woman that would just accost like everyone, like, cause like after in between the bands, everyone would like go outside.
Yeah.
If it wasn't raining, like if it wasn't like, it was kind of off and on raining, but like it felt nice when it was just like kind of like sort of raining, but like it felt nice because it was hot.
Yeah, it was cool.
So like everyone was hanging out outside. It was pretty chill. It was pretty dope. But this woman just made it awful just because like she was just coming up and like we'd all have to be like, no, sorry. She goes, come on. No, we don't have any change. It's like, come on, please. And she's like we're lying to her. Like,
yeah, it's like
I literally don't have. I don't smoke. I don't have. Like,
you already made your round. I have no more money.
She did it all night, all fucking night, and like we were just getting like, people were like yelling at her. They were just like, no, stop asking us. Like they were like, it was just like really.
This is the fourth time.
It literally got to like the 10th time.
Oh man,
it was so awful. It was so persistent. But like, I get it, man. People are desperate. But like, you don't have to do that shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if you're asking 10 times, I think that's.
And I'm
bit
just
much.
like, you're coming to me again, and you're gonna be like, "What are you trying to wear me down?" Like, it's just like, I don't get it. But whatever. Yeah, dude. It was a sick EP.
Thank you very much.
4. What made you just call it 4? Like, did you want to do like sort of like a Danzig type thing, or like Black Sabbath, where it's just like you kind of number your releases?
We number the EPs, but we'll title like the albums. I think it just ended up.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
EPs,
like we ended up. I think it just ended up happening like that because when we did the second one, we're just like, all right, well, we're just gonna from now on, like all the EPs will be numbered, but the albums will have names. So yeah, I always think of like the Bronx when I think of that.
Oh yeah, the Bronx.
Yeah, because they do
that a lot of. It's like a common.
Yeah,
style.
it's a common thing.
For me, it like because like I grew up on like the Misfits and Danzig. That's the one I always go to. Is that Danzig always numbered his records. You guys are pretty industrious, man. Like you put out your most recent full length last year.
Yep,
and that was sick.
Thank you.
And I was just like, you have a new one? Like, I mean, it's an EP, but I mean, you guys must like, grind it out like pretty.
Yeah, we're usually writing like all the time, pretty much. But I mean, good, at least like with this EP. We've had it finished since, like, we recorded it in November of last year.
Okay.
So there's a lot of time where it's just sitting there, and we're like, all right, well, we're just gonna write new stuff. Man. Yeah.
The worst feeling is waiting.
I mean, I think it used to really bug me, but at this point, I don't really care too much anymore. I'm just used to it.
You learn to fill up the time.
Yeah, it's just like you just write more stuff, so you keep yourself entertained.
That's literally the only way I've been able to like remedy that, because like I would just like it would get so bad that like I would get like depressed. Like,
that it's not released yet,
or that it's just like I have to wait for the engineer or like the producer to like, he's like, oh yeah, dude, like I got other projects and like I'll get to yeah. So it's like and like, but that's every time. It's like every time I've recorded, like no matter who it is, and I've worked with a lot of producers, and they all have varying degrees of turnaround time, but like I used to just like this is not really what happens now, but like. I remember just bouts of depression, just because like I didn't know what to do, because I was like I was so anxious, but I don't want to be so obnoxious about like asking like, hey, how are the mixes going, like whatever, but like I get so excited about it, and I'm just like I want to hear it, I want to see like what's going on, like and like now I know how to like fill up that time, but like
I mean this
dude, I used to get so just like down in the dumps about it.
That's true. I don't know. I definitely know what you mean with that one. But I mean, for this record had been completely done, like mixed, mastered, everything like that. I'm kind of a dick, so I'll just nag the shit out of a producer.
You're better at that, man. Like I'm so shy.
We had our friend, Matt Buckley. He plays a Cetus,
Matt Buckley,
Drop Anchor.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. He did.
Who doesn't know Matt Buckley?
Yeah,
like
he produced our last album, and he mixed this one. But I like working with him just because I could be like super particular about everything, and I don't really like. It's not like, oh man, am I bugging him? It's kind of just like, I'm just gonna fucking tell you how I feel about this, and tell you like, oh, this 3 seconds, can you change it to this thing, or just like I just mess with like every
that
little
like
bit
reverb is like a little bit, it's a too wet. Can we bring it back a little? It's just like, I feel you. And like Matt from, I've never personally worked with him, but like I know he's like a super professional guy.
Yeah, I think he did the first Wonder Years album, that
he
like
did.
Joke one, or I don't know if it was Joke one. I just know a lot of people don't think it's very good.
He has a super prolific catalog, and I remember he was in a band called Me versus Zoloft the Destroyer or something.
He was in that band?
Yeah, I think he was in it. Maybe I'm wrong.
Was it? You're not thinking of Zoloft and the Rock and Roll Destroyer?
That's what I mean. Zoloft Rock and Roll Destroyer.
I don't know. Maybe he was. I don't know anything about. I know of that band, but I don't know if he was in that band.
Yeah, they were like kind of local.
Are they? Oh damn.
Matt. No, he wasn't in that.
I know.
It was, Vince Ratty. That's what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah,
I'm thinking of Vince
I know.
Ratty.
He works at what? Is it Studio 4 in Conshohocken?
Yeah, that's right. Mm-hmm.
With who else? Will Yip works there and everything.
I don't know why I got him mixed up with Vince Ratty. I'm a piece of shit. But
they both, produce stuff.
Yeah, in the area. I don't think he has a Wikipedia. Oh well, he has like a prolific catalog, and like a lot of my friends have worked with them, and we're super pleased with the product.
Yeah. What did he do recently? Did he do the 60s?
Maybe. It wouldn't surprise me because like
he did somebody I knew. I think it might have been. I can't remember who it was.
Google searching his ass.
See his work. See how much stuff he's doing.
There's Matt. That's not him. Well, your Bandcamp comes up when I.
What?
Yeah, when I type in Matt Buckley.
Oh. Okay. I thought you meant Fitz. I'm like, man, I don't know that guy.
No, your Bandcamp comes up in Cetus and.
With Matt, what he's done?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done
Drop
a bunch
Anchor. Yeah, a lot. This is a lot of stuff. It doesn't say the 60s or anything, and I don't think he has a website.
I think he did the 60s latest EP because I know Soupy did like some of it too.
Right, I know Soupy had a hand in it.
Yeah, because it was like when we were recording our album was at the same time they were doing that EP, and they were kind of it's like, oh, they're doing stuff with Soupy, and then they do stuff with him and all that sort of stuff.
Definitely.
I didn't get to listen to that EP that much though.
I did,
but I like that album a lot.
Mm-hmm. I liked the 60s.
Yeah, they were great.
I'm stoked for his new band. Is it
Viewing Party?
Viewing Party. That's
Viewing Party, yeah.
And yeah, they're playing the Underground in July.
That'd be cool. I'd definitely be interested to hear how they sound and everything.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. I was talking to Dave about like how do we describe like the music like on this EP? We were trying to think of like what it is because like you guys have a super unique sound, by the way.
Thank you.
Which is really cool, and I think it's super. Like,
I guess that's a compliment. That could be bad.
Sure. Unique is also bad.
Yes, to a degree, I guess.
No, that's bullshit. We were thinking it was just like I thought it was sort of like a mix between sort of black metal, like with like your vocal styling, like how like you have that like high kind of. It's like a shriek, I guess you would call it.
It's like a high vocal screaming kind of thing,
and that kind of sort of reminds me of bands like Emperor and like kind of like that like higher like black metal type of stuff.
Yeah. And
then but the music is like late 80s like hardcore in my like that like crash like not crash crossover thrash.
Yeah.
Punk and hardcore like kind of
DRI
stuff, like,
kind of thing.
Definitely. So like
our name's basically like a rip off of the DRI.
DRI.
Yeah. To a degree.
Hey, listen, like you're not the first one. Like our boss is in CDC.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not the only acronym in Lansdale.
No,
or we're not the only acronym in Lansdale.
I think Bose took it from. I was talking to him one day about it, and he's just like, "Yeah, we took it from MDC, Millions of Dead Cops."
Oh yeah,
because they wanted to have the acronym stand for something new every year.
Yeah, isn't that what MDC do?
Yeah, so that's why he took it from them.
That's cool. I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So. And I just learned that recently. I'm like, oh, that's actually kind of cool. And it's very close, MDC and CDC.
True.
So like musically, like is that sort of accurate how I kind of put it? Like how
I would describe the band?
Well, like what are your like influences when it comes to LMI? Like what bands like sort of speak to you when it comes to your own songwriting and like you kind of like because to me it's like. When I'm thinking of like bands that like influence me or like, I'm inspired by or whatever that means, it's like they're bands that like I kind of like yeah, I get it. Like you can recognize as a musician like who's a good songwriter, but most of the time it means dick, and you're just like, well, it's these guys that like, it's these bands like, DRI, like, or I'm just using like placeholders, but like these guys like I actually could hang out with and talk to, and like, you know what I mean? Like, who are those bands for you that like, you think you like sort of fit in with that camp?
I mean, I guess I'm trying to think. Like, stuff I was listening to when we wrote that EP was more so like on the side of like, I was listening to more like mathier kind of. Have you ever heard of Rollo Tomasi? Yeah, I like them a lot. And then I was also,
their new record is sick.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. And I also started listening more like kind of grindcore sort of stuff. There's a band called Wormrot. They're from Singapore. They're pretty cool. And there's another band called Self Deconstruction, who are from Tokyo. And I just liked with them how, at least with those three, with like vocal variation. Yeah. Like they kind of, and it's like really fast riffs over, and then I guess with the vocals are kind of changing as well as the crazy drums. I mean, at least I don't write the drums for our stuff, so that's all on Kevin for that part. But that's what made me, that was some influences that were like more newer for this EP. Sure. And I guess for like consistent bands that are always like I'm influenced by, I guess Kylesa I like a lot, as well as I like Best Coast a lot, but that has nothing to do.
I haven't heard of any of these bands, man. Like
you don't know Kylesa?
No,
they're really good. They're from Savannah, so it's like not too. They used to play. They did some stuff with Mastodon. It's like in the same sort of vein,
like sludge and
like if you think of like Neurosis.
Totally.
Yeah, it's like Kylesa being like a similar vein to that.
Kylesa, maybe
they have two drummers.
How do you spell it? Is it with
Kylesa?
Lesa. God, it sounds familiar, but like I can't even.
Yeah, they're like some of their stuff. Specifically, the record "Static Tension" is my favorite record by them, and that one's really good. And it's more just like I like a lot of the riffs, and then their lyrics are really good too. It's like similar to Neurosis kind of.
Yeah, but lyrics. I wouldn't at all call you like sludge or anything like that. Like, because like your riffs aren't you never delve or like at least kind of get to a point in the songs where like it becomes like super like stonery or sludgy. It's actually like super upbeat and like not fast. I don't want to say upbeat. Fast paced. Yeah. Because it's dark music. It's like it's heavy and like it's sort of driving because it's like that's why it reminds me of like punk music. But like,
I mean we're punk. If people ask, I'll just say we're like a punk hardcore band. Sometimes whenever I'll do like stuff for blogs or something, I'll just say we're like stoner punk, because there's a lot of like honestly, sludge blogs.
It's hard to categorize you guys.
Like, there's a lot of like doom and sludge sort of blogs, and I can just convince them to review our stuff if I'm like, yeah, we totally like sludge, man, and they're like, oh, I'll check it out. And
okay, that's all we have to say.
They don't even really think we're sludge, but they're like, this band's okay. I'll just do a review, kind of thing.
Yeah, whatever gets your foot in the door, man.
Pretty
like
much.
It doesn't fucking matter. But I think my favorite song on the EP is Lurking Breath.
Oh yeah.
Where like it kind of starts with that it starts kind of Mastodon-y.
Yeah, I see what you're saying
with that lead of yours, it's like really sick. Like,
thank you.
But yeah, dude, like it's also really short, the whole EP.
Yeah, I don't like to go over 3 minutes.
No,
like not too much my thing. I guess I like another band too. I forgot to mention would be like Hot Snakes.
Oh, dude, I love Hot Snakes.
Fucking love Hot Snakes.
Yeah, dude.
John Reese is like one of my favorite guitar players.
Oh my god. So, yeah, dude. Like the last night when we were playing at the pharmacy, one of the bands, I think they were out of town band. Like what
was their name?
I think they were called.
I was looking at the event.
It was either American Television or Curse Words.
Weren't they from like DC?
Something like that. Yeah, I forgot to ask like where they were from. Yeah. But the one guitar player. The point is, the one guitar player was playing that like white classic Epiphone Les Paul that John Reese plays.
Oh, is that the one with the dragon on it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
But like it didn't have the dragon on it like that.
It's the same
John
style,
but it's the same like body, Epiphone body. And I was like watching him just like, yo, that's a John Reese guitar. John Reese is one of my favorite songwriters. Like just like his time in like Drive Like Jehu. Yeah. And Rocket from the Crypt. Like,
yeah, they were cool.
Rocket's like one of my favorite bands, dude. And they actually just like kind of got back together.
Yeah, I know Hot Snakes are actually playing in Philly on Saturday. And they just came out with a record, and I love that new record so much. That's one of my favorite releases this year, definitely. But I like Hot Snakes a lot, and I like Rocket from the Crypt, some of the stuff. I can never really get into Drive Like Jehu just because his songs are so long.
Yeah, they can really draw out. But they were one of the first
Like,
bands,
I understand
like,
it. I can appreciate it, but it's not too much my thing.
They were like, they fit right in with like that early 90s, you know, like Revolution Summer, Fugazi.
Yeah, like post-hardcore kind of stuff.
Those like early Discord bands.
Yeah. But,
Nation of Ulysses,
San Diego.
But they were like a West Coast version of that.
Yeah, exactly.
Which was like, you know, cool to get that like West Coast perspective on it. But John Reese, like, I don't know, like, I think his songwriting came out best in Rocket from the Crypt.
Yeah.
Because, like, dude, some of those records, like Hot Charity and Scream Dracula Scream, like, are like some of the best punk records of the 90s, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're just so fucking good. Like, have you ever heard that song On a Rope?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Dude, that's like the jam.
Yeah, it's a good one. I always like, there was some...
It's like a forgotten like 90s jam.
Yeah, I mean, I think I saw a video of them, where is it? They were playing it in like some fest, I think it was Reading in the UK.
And then it was like all the mud and shit.
Yeah, and it was just sliding in the mud.
Yes.
That's always what I think of when I think of that song.
It's like a mud water slide.
Yeah, and he's just like, go ahead, you little Englishman. And then they're just like sliding down the mud.
Dude, I would have killed to see them.
Yeah, they played, I mean, I know they did that reunion stuff and they played like Underground Arts or something. And then they played with the Bouncing Souls.
Yeah, I missed them. I don't know what I was doing. But dude, I would have loved to see them.
Yeah, he put out a surf record maybe 2 years ago.
He has like
3 years ago.
He has tons of bands, dude.
Yeah.
One's like the Night Watchers or something like that.
Yeah, I like them too. I have that first record. I think it's See You in Magic.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's really good. But his surf record was really good. I like that one a lot. And then of course Hot Snakes and stuff like that. Yeah. I go every like couple years. I'll go through a period of just like looking at all those bands that he's been in and just checking them out and everything like that.
Yeah, you just go through a phase.
Yeah, pretty much.
I think that's like the answer to like if someone asks you like, who are your favorite bands? Who are your favorite artists? Because like when it's us, it's like we have to listen to everything. So it gets difficult to narrow down who like our actual like favorites are or whatever. And it's a dumb question, but like you just kind of have to like, to people that like don't know that you're like an active musician or like, you know, it's like, oh, like you're a musician, like what bands do you like? And like you have to like narrow it down that way.
Yeah.
I like to like the best way that I've found like over time to like figure that out for yourself is just think about the bands that you kind of keep going back to. Like after all this time, it's like for me, like I always go through like a Bad Religion phase. Like I always go through like I always go through a Faith No More phase. I always go through like an At the Drive-In phase. So it's like I go through these like phases like persistently over time ever since I started listening to them.
Yeah.
And then like I had the initial like wow, holy shit, and like delved deep into them and then got distracted by something else. But then somehow I'm always just like, you know what? That felt good.
Yeah.
I kind of want that again. Like, and you just put it back in your rotation. So like that's like I think like you kind of figure that out for yourself and you're just like
true.
So who do you keep coming back to?
I guess sometimes Mastodon. And I'll do it with like Kylesa and I guess Hot Snakes. Yeah, probably Hot Snakes.
That's a good lineup, man. That's good. It's a good top three.
I'm trying to think of some other ones. Usually Death Side. I always do that well. I have like all their stuff, so I'll just every year or two I'll just like binge and listen to all their records.
Totally. Do you ever listen to like older stuff like classic rock or any, like those like classic like or classic like metal records like I don't know. Iron Maiden or like Black Sabbath.
Our drummer really likes Iron Maiden. Like that's one of his favorite bands.
I
appreciate them.
I never really got into Maiden. Like I think Black Sabbath is kind of cool. I talked about this on the other podcast where like did you hear about that did I tell you about that Ozzy Osbourne thing?
No, what do you do?
Well, like he like back in like the 2000s at some point like he got sued by like former members of the original like Ozzy band. Oh. From like Blizzard of Oz era. Like
who was the guy who died who was in that?
It was Randy Rhoads.
Yeah, that's who it is.
Yeah. But it was the other two. It was the bass player and the drummer who sued Ozzy because they like had quit the band. Yeah. Since then, but like they sued him to get paid for the royalties that were like that weren't paid to them. So like they successfully sued him in court and like I was reading this article, like I'll just briefly say because I talked about this on the other podcast, but he lost, and instead of paying out, like the thing that he did to supplement that was he had the members of his band now, which were Robert Trujillo, who plays in Metallica now. His bass player at the time in the 2000s, and then Mike Borden, the drummer for Faith No More.
Oh,
and
really?
like the longtime drummer, he's always a founding member of Faith No More.
Yeah.
And the time that Faith No More weren't a band, he was playing drums for Ozzy Osbourne. So he got Robert and Mike to re-record all the drum and bass parts on those classic records like Blizzard of Oz, Diary of a Madman.
Really?
Like, he just gutted the old shit and re-recorded. Like how schemy is that? Like that's just like,
yeah, that could possibly be some with Sharon too.
And you know what? And that was the thing. That's what I learned because I pulled up an article about it. Like, and they're just like, well, the consensus like all along was that it was Ozzy's move. Like it was like his decision. To go do that. And then like now that they're like divorced and they're like their marriage has gone through like so much turmoil.
Yeah.
Ozzy went back and was just like, yeah, that was all Sharon's idea.
Yeah, I mean he could just be talking. He could be talking shit, but. I could see it either way.
And so it's just like, I don't know what's true or not, but I mean, like, that's just super weird.
I mean, my thought of that, I feel like if that sort of thing happens, it's probably more of a business move. Mm-hmm. And he's not, I mean, he's always been managed pretty much his whole career. I mean, he's had like he's had management pretty much the whole time he's been a musician.
Right.
So it's like he probably knows some of that sort of stuff, but I could see
but
it
at
being
some
like
point,
a manager hitting him up about it.
Dude, but this was around the time that he was like, this was around the time that that Osbourne's show was on.
Oh, yeah.
And you saw how like fucking like spaced out he was all the time.
Yeah, that's
so like
true.
I think like more and more like over time he like depended on Sharon for business decisions and like that's why she was like such an she was like,
isn't she his manager too?
Yeah. She was his manager for forever. Like I think like starting in the 80s or 90s, like she actually like started like managing him.
Yeah.
But like just like over time I just think like his just brain went. And Sharon just like kind of like made all these like kind of big decisions, just like, Ozzy, we gotta do this now. Like, okay. Like,
yeah. Well, you know, when you do that much drugs,
when you just like fry your brain like a fucking deep fryer, like, it's like, oh my God. But yeah, like, did you ever like, do you take any like umbrance or not umbrance? Do you pay any homage to any of that? Like, does that carry anything with you, like those older like anything like pre-1990s, like
I mean definitely,
because it's hard for me sometimes. It's hard for me to like, if it's so dated, it's hard for me to take, because it has little relevance to me now because of the shit that I grew up with. It has nothing to do with it.
I mean, I like a lot of the early 80s hardcore, like the Circle Jerks.
Okay.
Some of the black, like I grew up on like the Circle Jerks, Black Flag sort of stuff, and then I like Blue Oyster Cult a lot.
That's
and
it.
I like the first. It's like the first two records and Fire of Unknown Origin. I really like, and I listen to those pretty frequently. And
Agents of Fortune, like shit like that.
And I know our drummer. He listens to a lot more of the old, like a lot of the 70s prog kind of stuff. Like he likes Genesis a lot and all those sort of. So he's really more so into that than I am. And he's the one who always showed me like the early Iron Maiden stuff, like Killers and everything like that.
Yeah.
And I feel like at least recording wise, that was something that played a part for at least for me with mixing this record, because I remember it was like the bass is turned up so high on Killers and everything. I'd never heard like any band where I'm like, this bass is like higher than the guitar.
Yeah, no. Like,
and it's cool. It actually worked, and I never really heard that many records that were like that.
It was odd at the time, but they were just like,
I mean, the bass is like the dude who runs a band. So
that's Steve Harris or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean, he plays the same bass strings that our bassists use. They pretty much have like the same kind of bass. But yeah, definitely. I thought that was really cool because I was like, I never really heard like a metal record where the bass was just that much louder than everything else, and it actually worked.
They were like one of the first like power metal bands.
I can see that.
They took like this like metal that was like kind of formulating in like the late 70s, early 80s, and like made it like really theatrical and you know, like super like crazy ass vocals, but like had this like demonic side to them. And, like it was crazy. But like, yeah, dude, I fucked with 80s hardcore too. Like I love the Dead Kennedys.
Yeah, Dead Kennedys are cool.
Dead Kennedys are like one of my favorite bands, and not in a sense where like I don't really take any like musical cue from them, because like they're just wacky. They're wacky as fuck. But I mean like, dude, but just like sometimes like I'll go through like a Dead Kennedys phase. Yeah. And just like listen to all their records, just because like he was super like, just listening to Jello just be super on point about like what he's talking about, like, and just some of the shit that he says is just wild. Some of the records and like some of the topics that he covers is just like the stuff that he came up with like as lyrics or like concepts for songs were just like outrageous.
Wasn't it? Yeah, I definitely know what you mean with that. Wasn't there the one record that they did where the album cover was just a bunch of like dicks going in asses or something?
We touched on this on another episode.
Yeah. But, who's the guy who did it? He did the Alien.
H.R. Geiger.
Yes, that's who it was.
And he made. I don't know if he made it specifically for the album Frankenchrist, but it was just in the inlay.
Oh, it was the inlay?
It wasn't the cover. There was the cover of something else, like a Mummers Parade or something.
Yeah, I think it was just like some dudes on like a tiny car. Or
yeah,
something.
And he actually got sued for that too.
Oh,
like
really?
That was like a little other thing that he got sued for. That like he got sued for that cover just because like there were like old white politicians that like didn't want to be associated with the dead Kennedys.
Yeah,
and they were just like, you can't use our picture.
Yeah,
I was just like, what? And then like they lost that. It was just like settled out of court. That's my cat buddy, by the way.
Why, hello, cat.
You're on the podcast now. But yeah, just briefly, what happened is just like Frankenchrist, that record with like the dicks and the butts and all that. Like, that was the first record to be put on trial for obscenity.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I can't believe people don't know this, but I mean, like, Jello Biafra after the Dead Kennedys did like a spoken word thing. Like he did like a bunch of spoken word tours and albums, and they're actually super good.
Oh, really?
Dude, I like love Jello Biafra spoken word shit. But there's one album that like he just goes into the whole thing about like his apartment was raided by the LAPD.
Oh man.
Because like something happened where like a woman in the Midwest like saw that her daughter had bought Frankenchrist and saw the artwork inside.
Yeah.
And called some agency or whatever, like the PMRC or like something or whatever, and like, you know, they're just like, yeah, like this guy lives in LA, he like operates the label, he's like, his name is Jello Biafra, and like they like raid his apartment and like take all this shit, and then like they take the thing, they put Jello Biafra on trial for distributing harmful matter to minors. That's like what the case was about. And, you know, he had to defend the fact that it was art and it's the First Amendment and it's covered. Yeah. So it's like it was a hung jury or something, and it was like thrown out of court, and they just never appealed it. Yeah. But it was like it set a precedent where it's just like you can't bring these charges. It was like it's the first like. So at that point, the PMRC had to come in and start, or at least put like a warning on the albums. Like that was like the very early beginnings of that, and then you saw like the Senate hearings with like Frank Zappa, and then Dee Snider and like all these things, and then whatever happened that just like, and then you started seeing political advisory stickers, parental advisory stickers. So like that's like the start of that, but the Dead Kennedys were the first one that like had to like kind of defend themselves in court, and it destroyed the band. It bankrupted them. Yeah, and they quit like a year after that.
Well, didn't they end up suing Jello because he took a bunch of money?
Yeah, that was way later. They didn't sue because Jello took money,
or he was keeping money or something. I don't know.
Something like that. They like argued that like he was withholding royalties.
Yeah, because he was
from the other bands. But like the thing was, it's like he saw himself as like he would like write the songs. Like he would come up with like an idea for the song. Mm-hmm. And like make like a little demo of it and take it to the band, and the band would expand on it. And in court, this was like, I want to say 99, 2000. Mm-hmm. This was right before like when they reunited, because after the thing that got them to reunite was the fact that the other members of the band besides Jello got control of the music back after they won this court battle. Yeah, they got the licensing to this music back, so they could use it in like Tony Hawk Pro Skater and Levi's commercials, and they could go back on tour with like a singer that's not Jello. So in this particular legal battle, they argued that Jello can't be the guy that wrote the songs because he can't read music. That's true. Jello doesn't know how to read music, but like you and I, when we write songs for our band or like our record,
you're
or
not
whatever,
notating it.
No, you're not like putting it on musical notation
like
or staff paper, or whatever the fuck it is. You don't do. That's not the way in which you present it to the band. Like you record. Like we have like recording devices, and we have a guitar, and we see it and hear it in our heads. So it's like that's how it gets transported. Yeah. So the argument in court was that Jello can't be the guy that wrote the songs because he can't read music. They can, for whatever reason. Like East Bay Ray can read music, and like that's how they were able to like determine that the other members of the band have an equal like guarantee of like the royalties and the whatever for the music. Yeah. and that Jello Biafra had to relinquish them. So that was like the outcome of that, and then so it's all dude like I have like a book on like music law, and like I was like trying like brush up on it because like that shit
like
just,
intellectual law kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. And you ever talked to like Danny Katz about it? About like law stuff?
No, I've never talked about law stuff.
I've had a few conversations about him with him. He had to represent me once or twice.
Oh yeah, you told me about that. That's
that was really crazy. That's for another podcast. But woo, that was a fun day. But yeah, dude, like all that stuff is like crazy, and just like that Ozzy Osbourne thing is also really nuts.
Well, back to the '80s thing. I also love '80s Japanese hardcore, so there's that too.
And you also spend a lot of time in Japan, don't you?
Yeah, my girlfriend lives there.
Totally. How many times have you been to Japan? Different occasions.
6? I think it's 6. Yeah, pretty sure it's 6.
That's crazy. I know you probably told me before, but how long does it take to fly to Japan?
It's usually like.
And which way do you go?
I think you go like over Canada. Like you go like up over Canada and then down.
Really?
Past,
you go that
like,
far
Russia.
north just to kind of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you go the other way, you got to go. I don't even know. I think it's a little bit longer the other way, I'm assuming. But I think it's usually like 13, 14 hours.
Okay. That seems about right.
Yeah. And they usually be like a layover somewhere, so it'll be like 16 hours to really get there.
That's crazy. Like, when do you have like plans to go there again? Like,
yeah, I'm going there in October.
Sick.
Yeah, well, I would go this summer, but it's like we're going on a tour in July, and I'm just not gonna have any money after that. So,
I feel you, man. What are the things that you kind of take away from Japan? Like just having traveled to like a foreign country, and like, because obviously there's going to be similarities. Because like like, what part of Japan are you in? Like, are you in like a kind of a built-up area of it? Like,
my girlfriend lives
like
in Tokyo. Yeah, I'm in Tokyo the whole time, pretty much. I've been to Kyoto and Osaka, and I've been to Yokohama a few times, as well as Nara. But it's like,
but it's literally like New York City. It's like just like.
I mean, it's bigger than New York City. It's definitely it's definitely bigger than New York City. I mean, I guess you could kind of compare it to that, but at the same time, it's like a world city, the same sort of thing. I mean, it's the same as New York, so.
Dude, it must be insane. I've never been out of the country, so I'm always like curious about like other nations and like what they're, because everyone's like, oh, everyone's like so much like us, but like no, like I want to know what's different. Like I want to know what's cool about like what are the cool differences between America and like a place like Japan. Like, is it like the people? Do they interact differently? Obviously, Japan is a much more polite culture, and
to a degree,
they're a bit like nicer to everybody. Is that true?
They're like sort of like somebody like me, it would probably be nicer too, just because they'll probably think I have money, so they'll be like, "Oh yeah, you'll buy stuff." If I'm at a store, they're gonna be like, "Oh hey, yeah."
Gotta love that American tourist.
Yeah, like if I would show up in like a store or something, it'd be like, "Oh," they'd be more. Some places they'd be more polite to you, but
I'm talking about like with one another. Like, are they? Is there like a very marked like kind of cultural difference like that you see like walking around like a place like maybe Philadelphia, like? I hate to throw these like curveballs at you.
I'm just trying to think because it's like a broad topic.
If you can't think of one, I mean, it's like.
I mean, there is definitely everyone, like you said, people are more polite about stuff, and nobody, like, if you do something wrong, like if you do something that's stupid, nobody's gonna tell. Like, you could even something where you're going on an escalator to get off the subway. It's like kind of common that you stand on one side if you're just gonna stand there and not walk straight forward or down the escalator. Like, if you just
there's like protocol to follow.
Yeah, but like nobody's gonna tell you that, and if you don't do it, everyone's just gonna be like, you're just getting in the way and be like annoyed with you. But they're not gonna. Nobody's gonna tell you like, oh, right. You got to do this. Like they're just
Oh, that's strange. So they're kind of more reserved. They're more like
to a degree. And if somebody does say something to you, like if it was like you're, I don't know, like on a train or something, you're talking to a friend, you're being like really loud, and somebody says something to you, that's like a sign that it's really bad. Like that it's gotten to the point that somebody had to be like, yo, shut the fuck up.
They must have like a very streamlined, just day to day, hour by hour, minute by minute, just like streamlined like activity. You know what I mean? Like, because everything is so jam packed that everything has to kind of like go by, just everyone has to go with the flow and like the normal just like day flow. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I get what you mean.
So I guess like if someone were to interrupt that, it's bigger than, you know, because in here it's like Americans are so uppity that like, you know, we always have something to say. Like we're always just like, hey, what's up? Like there's like all these like, you know, kind of cultural things about us that like kind of make us more rambunctious and, you know, kind of like rowdy. But like I feel like there's a discipline in a place like Japan or a place like Tokyo where it's like, I got to get to work. There's like things to do. Like I got to get here. You got to hit all these links.
Yeah. I think
like
until it hits a certain time, that's true. Like if it ends up, you go into a bar, like there, I was talking to a friend of mine about this, where if you go into like a bar, like 11 or 10:30 at night on like a Tuesday, it'll be like Japanese people will be the loudest people that are in there. Cause
yeah.
they're
They're rowdy. They're drinking sake.
Yeah. They'll get pretty, they'll go pretty loud and everything like that, but it's just like, that's a certain time, where that you can do that sort of stuff where you have to be straight laced and everything. Yeah, I just feel like
for most of the day, and then at night you could kind of turn up. I feel like during the day it's like all business, and it's just like, I mean, like to a degree that's true here in America, but I think it's more
relaxed.
It's more
here than it would be there.
It's more like tightly wound in Japan, where it's like, you know, there's a protocol to follow, and like even if you're not doing it, like it's not going to affect someone else's thing to do it. Like if you were like get in like the wrong line or like obstruct a line or like, you know, fuck something up here in America, some guy's gonna tell you about it. It's just like, hey, why don't you watch where you're fucking going, or like, hey, why don't you, like, they're like more willing to like kind of get in your face and have attitude towards you. But with Japan, it's just like, yeah, he'll learn. It's just whatever.
Yeah, it's like
you're. And it's only like we got to pick our battles here, because like, what if some guy's like really loud? Then we're gonna tell him what's up.
Or people just kind of like, if you're super loud on the train or something, people kind of just stare at you, and if you don't get that vibe, then it's like.
And is that how like you get around? Like,
it's
all public transit. Like,
yeah, it's really, the public transit there is very, very like on time and very good.
Very sophisticated.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's awesome. My girlfriend just walked in the door.
Okay,
that's what that
Someone
was.
broke into your house, man.
Yeah. Something crazy. I'm gonna actually shut the door. Hi, babe.
Hi, babe.
We're recording.
Oh, you're not done yet?
No. But yeah, so like, yeah, like, I was like watching a video with like a guy was on a bullet train.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been on a bullet train?
Yeah, but mine wasn't that great because I was only on it for 10 minutes, and then that was it.
Okay.
Yeah, Shinkansen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, like I saw like a video of like a guy like on a bullet train, and every now and then a bullet train will pass coming the other way.
And it's just like,
and you're like, whoa!
That even happens like on the regular subway.
It like
too.
moves your train like off to the side a little bit because of the momentum.
Yeah, the one time I was on the Shinkansen I was going from Kyoto to Osaka, and it was like, they're not that far from each other, so it was just, I ended up, basically, I was only on it for like 15 minutes, and I sat in the wrong seat, and then they were like, oh no, you gotta get up, you gotta go to like the front of the train, or I had to go like 3 or 4 cars up to sit down. But by the time I actually got all the way up and sat down, it was like 2 minutes later we were there. I'm like, well, this was kind of pointless.
Yeah. Why did I do that?
Yeah.
That's sick, man. So are you going on tour? You're going on tour in July?
Yeah.
You said? Okay. That's same Andros is too. Where are the places like that you're hitting in July?
We're going to be it'll be Midwest, Canada, and West Coast for this run, pretty much. A lot of new spots that we've never been to before. So
how many days or weeks or how many?
It's going to be 19 shows. And I guess 19 shows in like 19 days? Yeah, 19 shows in 19 days.
Super ambitious.
We have 1 day off of driving, but then there's the 1 day where it's 2 shows in a day. So
damn. And do you do most of the booking, or do you?
I do all the booking.
Damn.
Yeah.
You're like one of the hardest working people in showbiz, man. I'm telling you.
Like, I don't know about that, but thank you.
But dude, I mean, like that's like, I relate to it, but I'm also like, I also like aspire to be that like industrious, and because like I tried booking a tour like a year or two ago, and like it was only like maybe 10 days, but damn was it difficult. It was just like, you really just gotta fucking like, you gotta grind it out and just like get the details out, and just like
the more I feel like it's one of those things, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, and I was kind of new at it, and I feel like I did an okay job. Like I think like only 1 or 2 shows really kind of were bullocks, and they just like kind of felt.
I mean, I feel like for me, it's like even if you have like it doesn't matter if you have like a shitty show. It's just if you got a show in that area.
Right.
Kind of thing. Like, it's like, oh, I'd rather play a show that was like garbage than been like, oh, well, somebody bailed on us and now we're just stuck like in a van for the whole night because we have no
and that's
place
no
to
fun.
play.
That's like no fun at all.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, I mean, like you're like writing all the time, and like like, you know, like we work together, and it's just like, so like I see like you like kind of grinding it out like at work, and then like I can just imagine like, man, Will's like booking a tour and like writing songs and like making these records, and it's just like, dude, it's super industrious. And it's like, because I'm kind of doing the same thing. Like, you know, I work 2 jobs. Like, so do you. Like, you.
Yeah.
And so, like, you know, we're working like what, 50 plus hours a week.
Yeah, something like
and,
a little over 50. Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like, you know, we got this like work ethic that just kind of transfers over into our music. That like, you know, that's the catalyst for it. It's the reason why we're working hard. Because like, you know, we have these like passions that we want to feed, and that we want to, you know, we want to water them so they grow, and like all this good stuff. So it's like, it yields some good shit, man. Like, these records are dope. You're going on a 19-day tour.
Yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah, man. I'm stoked. Yeah, dude. I mean, I think that's all I wanted to cover with you. It's just like,
sounds good.
Yeah. Good talks, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, that's awesome, man. I'll see you at work, okay?
Sounds good. Check out our new EP.
Yeah, go listen to LMI.
We got a band camp. We're going on tour this summer.
When does it come out?
Comes out July 6th.
July 6th.
On Killer Tofu Records.
Killer Tofu! Yeah!